What's going on, everybody? Wednesday night is here. You know what that means? The DFS OG's taking over. Grinders Live, myself, Notorious Head Chopper here for the next 50 minutes or so, breaking everything down in the NBA. Got a ton of games on the docket. Obviously, the All-Star break coming up, so it'll be a nice break, recharge, watch some NBA All-Star action this weekend. But we still got one big slate here and a lot going on, a lot to get to. So thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. Let me get to my boys here. Chop, Noto, let's start with you, buddy. How's the Wednesday going? And welcome in.
Yeah, good Wednesday. Little man's at the dentist, same as your little ones, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I love the grind of the NBA season, but I'm definitely looking forward to a little bit of the break to recharge the old batteries and focus on some golf over the next few days.
There you go. Yes, the golf streets, definitely something to look forward to over the weekend. Yeah, the dentist, 3 kids go all at the same time, which is nice. 2 come out, no cavities, no issues. My youngest comes out, who's the Hellraiser. Well, she's got 3 cavities, and of course she does. She don't want to floss, she don't want to brush, she don't want to listen to me, but I'm not here to talk dental. We're here to get to the Chop Man. Chop, how we doing, buddy?
Doing good. Speaking of dental, I'm waiting for RG to come up with the dental plan. We need the dental plan, RG. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Like Notorious said, man, we got 2 big slates here left before the All-Star break. Then we get a little shot at recharging the old battery, man. So looking forward to it. But hopefully we can end on a big note here.
Yes, let's do that. And chat, we see you. Welcome in. Thank you as always for hanging out here with us on Wednesday nights. Woofing Wednesday, says our boy Hammer in the chat. I see the Chief out there, always helping us out in the chat. So good to see him. Don Yeezy, some of the regulars here. So what's up to everybody in the chat? Remember, we want this to be interactive with you guys as we go along. We'll try to weave your questions in on positions. We want your betting picks as well. And we'll take a look at the betting records from last week. But chat did pretty well. We'll see if you gain ground on the 3 of us in our little competition. So keep that in the back of your mind. Let's start with injuries, guys. A lot of news here. News still to come. We're getting news right now. Don Yeezy breaking some Josh Jackson news. He's out for Detroit. But let's start at the top. Obviously, some of the bigger names. We know LeBron James not going to play tonight. We got that news early this morning. So that leaves the Lakers, obviously, without LeBron, Davis, a lot of usage, a lot of production to go around there. Luka listed as doubtful, and you could kind of see the read between the tea leaves on that when the spread kind of started dropping in that game. So it doesn't look like Luka is going to go. We know Kevin Durant remains out for Brooklyn. We have the James Harden return to Houston narrative, which I'm a big fan of. We'll get to that. Toronto, obviously a big situation we're going to have to talk about. No Van Vliet, no Siakam, OG Anunoby also out there. Tobias Harris just announced probable, so he will be in for Philadelphia. Sabonis questionable for Indiana. We could go on and on and on with the injuries. The rest are kind of mid-level. We'll weave it in as we go. A lot of names. Eric Gordon now out. Daniel House now out. So Houston going to be a team we're going to have to talk about. So, guys, what on the injury front is most important to you? And those big names still to come. Noto, we'll start with you. Where are we looking in injuries to get us started here?
Yeah, I mean, Detroit and Toronto, that's going to be a game where both teams are going to have like 6 or 7, maybe 8 active guys. Jeremy Grant now not expected to play. So maybe we get some Dennis Smith, your boy Sekou in there, like we talked about last week. Yeah, just a lot of situations to monitor. Obviously, the Lakers going to be very shorthanded. And they have the best matchup of the slate. The Kings on pace to be the worst defensive team in the history of the NBA, which is pretty bad. And I don't really expect Kuzma or Caruso to play since they didn't play last night. So I think it's a great spot to load up on some of the Lakers. And then Luka being out, obviously a huge bump to pretty much the rest of the team. Although if you look at their numbers, most of his teammates actually struggle with him off the floor. Porzingis, his fantasy point per minute production goes down. Josh Richardson's goes down. So that's at least something to monitor. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many injuries. We might just have to cover them at a position basis because it's just hard to go through every single one of them.
Yeah, and I think they're going to keep flying in. Unfortunately, it's going to be hard to keep up. So that's why we have the chat. Keep us updated. Devin obviously does an amazing job keeping us updated as well. And guys, if you enjoy hanging out here with us on Wednesday night, all we're going to ask, hit that thumbs up button there on the YouTube. Really helps us out. So make sure you take a second and do that. Let's see how many thumbs up we can get on the video. We are presented by our friends over at monkeyknifefight.com. Make sure you guys go over there as well. use promo code Grinders for a deposit bonus, 100% deposit bonus up to $50. We will provide some of our favorite monkey knife fight plays along the way as we go. We each picked out 3 of our favorites. So make sure you go and support them as well. And Rotogrinders Premium, $10 off by clicking the link Devin just dropped in chat. So make sure you guys take advantage of that as well. Chop, don't want to leave you out in the cold here, brother, injury-wise. So what is happening over there for you?
There's just so much right now. Like this has the feel of the last week of the season tonight. That's what it feels like. I guess we're getting a lot of if you're kind of like even nicked up, why not just give them the whole week off? And why even play tonight or tomorrow? Tomorrow will probably be a similar thing, I would imagine. So we just got to wade through it. But I mean, when we woke up, it was the Lakers and the Raptors. You could make a cash game lineup with just players from those 2 teams and put one other star in there from one other game, and you're good. Now there's so much value everywhere. It gets tough now.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think we're going to continue to see a lot of these teams rest guys. So I don't think we're done on the injury front. So before we get into the analysis, we'll go position by position. Again, we'll weave your guys' questions into the analysis. One more thing we got to talk about: the FanDuel single entry series. Very easy to find. Go to the FanDuel lobby, look for the Rotogrinders logo. 6 weeks of contest. Top 4 scores count for the week. There's a chance to get a spot in an online final with 30 grand in prizes there. So we got a $222 entry this week and a $1 entry. So something for everybody, every buy-in level, everybody gets one lineup. So always a fun contest whenever we get these sizable single entry contests. If you guys enjoy those, get over to FanDuel and get your entries in to support that contest. All right, Chop, let's start at point guard. And we know James Harden, a guy I'm very high on today. I made a bold prediction. I think he could push for 100 fantasy points on DraftKings tonight. Is that insane? Because I just think this is the perfect storm of, we have plenty of value. This guy's obviously has a chip on his shoulder with the way that ended in Houston. Going back to Houston for the first time, is 100 fantasy points insane?
No, I mean, we've seen him do it before, but, the chip shouldn't really be on his shoulder. I mean, God dang, they gave him everything he ever wanted, not only in Houston, but on his way out the door. Oh, you want to go to Brooklyn? Well, yeah, sure, we'll send you to Brooklyn. So he really shouldn't have the chip. Where the chip lies is with John Wall. Now, John Wall did not like his time with James Harden. They definitely didn't get along. Like John Wall could be a sneaky good. Nobody, I mean, with all his value out, who's going to play John Wall? I doubt he gets very much ownership. He's a guy. But yeah, James Harden could definitely, like I said, one superstar and a bunch of these teams that are down to like 7 guys. James Harden would probably be that one superstar. So I'm down. I'm on board with that. Then at the same time, strictly GP, because your cash game is going to be Dennis Schroeder and, somebody else, whoever else you want to play. So in GPPs, you got the Wall, you got Harden out there. Look out there out on the West Coast, Lillard versus Curry going at it head to head. It's a great GPP matchup right there. I like to do things like that. Take 2 good guards from opposing teams and sometimes in GPPs, and that flies. So there's a lot of action out here, man. We're not even going to talk about guys who probably deserve to be talked about more, like a De'Aaron Fox, who gets a depleted Lakers team. I got to imagine the defense takes a big hit as well as the offense. So there's a lot of guys to choose from, but I think you start your cash game with Schroeder, maybe even Jalen Brunson, and then see what else you can do from there. But there's a lot of options.
Yeah, this position is loaded up. I mean, you could make an entire roster out of point guards tonight. We're going to get to some other positions that not so much. We wish we could utilize some of these guys in those spots, but Noto, let's get over to you. I think he brought up some good points. Obviously, Schroeder, Brunson going to be pretty chalky as value options. I think there are some pivots. As much as I love Harden and Lillard, he mentioned Curry. I think there's some good options there. Kyle Lowry for Toronto going to have to do some heavy lifting. So kind of weed your way through things. Who are you prioritizing? Who maybe are you fading here tonight? What are we doing at point guard?
Yeah, I think Chop covered it pretty good. The cash game options: Dennis Schroeder, no LeBron, no AD. Great matchup against the Kings. You have Jalen Brunson. Likely no Luka. He's averaged well over a fantasy point per minute. Good matchup at home against the Thunder. That game has a really close spread, like we were talking about at the top of the show. So those are going to be the cash game options for me. I do like the tournament play of pairing Lillard with Stephen Curry. I always like to pair those opposing point guards. Those two always go at it when they square off. So I like that. One guy that's getting overlooked, LaMelo Ball. He just continues to crush on a nightly basis. Great matchup against the Wolves. I kind of like, pairing him with Karl Anthony Towns. That's a game that I don't think a lot of people are going to be targeting. So that's a tournament strategy of mine. And then our projections don't have it adjusted yet, but Dennis Smith is at least interesting. I mean, he's played well each of the last 3 games. Now there's going to be no Josh Jackson, no Jeremy Grant. They're missing a bunch of other guys as well. So he's one of the guys that I don't mind pivoting to if you don't want to go, the straight chalk route of Schroeder and Brunson.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some guys that obviously fall through the cracks. I mean, we're showing Lowry, Schroeder going to be pretty heavily owned. Terrence Davis gaining some steam. He is point guard eligible over on DraftKings. So there's so many ways that people can go. And this is a spot I think is going to help win GPPs is going different at the point guard position. So normally we would go to SPK here, but it's clearly dentist night. I mean, your kids are at the dentist, my kids at the dentist. SPK also at the dentist here tonight. So unfortunately, he will not be joining us tonight. So we will press on to the shooting guard position. Noto, let's stay with you here. Let's break down shooting guard.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned James Harden. I think, he's going to be one of the top guys for me, the revenge factor, all that stuff. Yeah, it's like Chop said, not really a revenge spot in that he should be mad at the management and all that. But for whatever reason, he was unhappy with Houston, didn't think they were giving him enough. So he's going to have all the usage in the world. I like that. I do think Tim Hardaway is going to be pretty popular, going to see an uptick in minutes, going to see an uptick in usage as long as Luka ends up being out. And then a couple other guys I'm looking to, Taylor Horton-Tucker. We've seen him, crush in the preseason. He's played well off the bench pretty much all season. And we currently have him projected for 24 minutes, but that's going to go way up if Caruso's out, if Kyle Kuzma's out. We talked about, anyone against the Kings is going to be in a good spot. So I like him a little bit. On DraftKings, I do think you can play, somebody like Trey Burke. He's only 3K. I don't think he's going to get a lot of steam. We've seen him break a few different slates over the course of his career. Norman Powell going to have some more usage tonight with the Raptors being so shorthanded. Terrence Davis, like you mentioned. So a lot of good options. And this is one of those slates where single entry lineup builders like myself are going to have a really hard time because there's just so many options at every position.
Chief, I see you in the chat. You want to call in? We've always got a spot for the Chief. Call in. We can talk some hoops. So you always have a spot reserved here on Wednesday night. So we'd love to talk to you. So if you want to join us, hit up Devin and get in here. So Chop, Dallas. I know he brought up Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway. Is there a guy there you prefer with Luka out? We know there's a lot of usage to go around there. What else are you doing here at the shooting guard position?
Yeah, with Luka out, I'm going to probably just turn my attention to Brunson and Porzingis. I don't, and those are even stretching it, to be honest, with the way point guards packed. But shooting guard, yeah, I mean, he mentioned the guys that that I like. I'm on. I'll throw in some Anthony Edwards in my lineups tonight. I don't mind that. Shooting guard, probably Taylor Horton-Tucker is the value guy, but that could be risky because we don't really know what the Lakers. I mean, I like Schroeder. I don't really know what what Horton-Tucker might lie for him tonight. So maybe this is a spot where we got so much value out there. We spend up at the shooting guard position and not have to take too many chances here. But Edwards is putting up some good games and has a good matchup tonight, and plenty of injuries in Minnesota for him to thrive. And Oladipo under the radar. I think he could, with as we come on the show, we find out Gordon and Daniel House are out. So somebody's got to benefit from Houston. Oladipo might be that guy. And otherwise, I think you spend up here. Levine, Shai Gilgeous, even Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's a tricky one because it's a tough defense he's playing. But, man, I got a feeling these two teams are really going to go at it hardcore tonight. Almost feel like a playoff game, Philadelphia and Utah. So I got a feeling that's going to be a really electric game that's going to come down to the wire. That could be good tonight.
Yeah, that game, I'm high on that game. You're going to hear more about that game from me as we go along. But obviously Ben Simmons, a tough draw there. But I agree. Donovan Mitchell, if we think that game's going to be close, definitely got to look at. Love the Anthony Edwards call. Featured him in the 6-pack today. This dude's jacking up a ton of shots. I mean, 20 or more shots in 3 straight games. Also talked about a little narrative there as well. Everybody's just kind of chewing in LaMelo Ball as the rookie of the year. Anthony Edwards kind of making a charge here of late. So just a little rookie showdown here. I think that's very interesting. But I do love Edwards. I think big time upside at a mid-range price. So see our boy Bobby Fi in the chat. Bobby, welcome. He'll be there helping you guys out as well, taking some questions. Guys, let's keep it moving. Small forward, Chop. Let's stay with you.
All right, small forward. There's some good guys at this position. We just got the news. Daniel House was out, so maybe that opens it up for somebody else. Maybe a Tate, Jay Sean Tate or something. I don't know if he's a small forward on the site you're playing at, but it's going to open up something. Norman Powell's a small forward on FanDuel. I like that. Brandon Ingram is probably the cream of the crop tonight with all the injuries. So Brandon Ingram's a guy I think you got to get in your lineup on FanDuel. You know what? Let me see. Here a few hours ago when they said a couple other guys were out for Jeff Green was out, and man, I forget the other guy who got ruled out too at the same time. Jeff Green.
TLC.
Yeah, when he was out, I was like, oh, I didn't have Joe Harris in my player pool, and then when they ruled those guys out, I was like, well, let's put Joe Harris in there because somebody else besides Harden and Kyrie have to take some shots here, and so Joe Harris could get some extra run. Josh Richardson could benefit with Luka out. I don't love his game, but he's there. He's on the radar. He's getting a great projection from us, and you can't ignore that at $4,600 on FanDuel. So, and then last but not least, with the news that just came in, I wasn't going to think about playing Sadiq Bey, but with Jeremy Grant out and Josh Jackson out, and it looks like Sadiq Bey, he's a pretty good player anyway, and Toronto's taking a big hit on their defense. So maybe Sadiq Bey's in play now.
Yeah, I don't mind the Detroit running back. I mean, we need those Toronto guys to stay in a competitive game. And my boy Sekou just couldn't keep his hands to himself the other night. So we'll see if he gets 4 minutes, but he's got to stay on the floor. Quit trying to foul out. But Noto, let's go to you, small forward. We'll try to mix some questions in. Then we'll take a look at our monkey knife fight props for tonight. Noto, what are you doing at small forward?
Yeah, for a big slate with a lot of injuries, there aren't many guys at small forward that I like tonight. Chop mentioned Brandon Ingram. I think he's more of a FanDuel specific play. On DraftKings, you can kind of play, Anthony Edwards or Horton Tucker, Norman Powell. Pretty much any of those guys make a lot of sense. For me, we only have to roster, one small forward, which is always nice. FanDuel, I like Powell quite a bit. And I do like the running back with Sadiq Bey. He's shown a bunch of upside. Detroit only expected to have 8 active guys tonight, so I do think he's going to get a ton of run. Even if that game turns into a blowout, you got to think, he's going to be out there. They want to develop him, and they have no reason not to play him 30-plus minutes. So he's going to be my guy there. I think Gordon Hayward's at least a little bit interesting. He didn't play the other night, but he should be back. Full complement of minutes for him. The Wolves play at a fast pace. They struggle on the defensive end of the floor. And again, I think that game as a whole is just going to get overlooked a little bit.
All right, Chop, I see you answered next man up's question, Lowry or Wall. We'll go back to the point guard here. Chop says flip a coin. So that close. Derek, do you have a lean one way or the other there?
That's tough. If you're playing Harden and want to bring it back, I like Wall. Just from a raw projection standpoint, I think I like Lowry a little bit more, probably a little bit safer.
Chop, what did the coin tell you?
Man, I'm going to lean towards Lowry also, but, either one of those guys. I mean, John Wall played 40 minutes last game. Like that's what shocked. I should have put that in my expert survey as the surprising stat. John Wall, I didn't expect him to play 40 minutes a game at all this year. He played 40 minutes last game, gets Brooklyn, gets this monkey on his back here. Not a monkey on his back, but a vengeful John Wall. Hates this guy lining up across from him, James Harden. He could very well put up a month. You could look at John Wall at the end of the night and go, you had to have John Wall to win tournaments. That's just the way it could roll. So I would lean towards Lowry, but John Wall is very strong tonight.
Yeah, I like Wall a lot. That's my favorite kind of running back. If we're going to get James Harden to 100 fantasy points, we need Houston to oblige. So I need John Wall to do his thing as well. I had a question from Brent Morgan. Any love for Terrence Ross? Orlando, another team, kind of thin here tonight. They need some scoring. Fournier still questionable. We know Gordon and Anthony are out. Ennis also out. So any love for Terrence Ross? Chop.
I mean, I'm looking over some of his things this year, and 51, a 42. He's 40. He's got the upside. But it's just one of those things. A night like tonight, like I just don't see a room for him. There's so many good options. He just kind of gets lost in the mix. So yes, he's in play, but he won't end up on one of my teams now.
Chop, are you seeing this mortal lock in the chat? Our boy Hammer just dropped a mortal lock.
Hold on,
So
I didn't see it. Let me rewind here.
You see a mortal lock. We got to
Yeah.
lock that in for the chat. He said Chicago, New Orleans is a no-brainer on the over, which I think one of you guys are going with here as well. So just jot that one down. Put a little star by it. Mortal lock.
I'm taking a note right now.
Derek, thoughts on Terrence Ross? Yes or no?
Yeah, like Chop said, I don't know if he'd make any of my lineups if I was only building a handful, but if you are MMEing, certainly in play. He's got the upside. You mentioned Fournier being questionable. Pretty good matchup at home. So the upside's there. But anytime you rely on Terrence Ross, you get 12 fantasy points.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's very scoring dependent, and they're going to need his scoring, but it's not like Orlando is an offensive juggernaut. So let's go to our Monkey Knife Fight promos for the night. Devin, if you could pull those up, get the graphics out. We each picked one of our favorites for the night. Remember, promo code Grinders over on Monkey Knife Fight, guys. It's a different way to play fantasy. It's a lot of fun. A million different ways you can play. You can pick each individual game, kind of target some of these games where guys are going to be out, which is what I like to do. Find some of these where you can grab the number a little bit lower. Chop beat me to one of the numbers. I got it a little later on mine. So Chop, let's go to yours. What are we going with tonight on Monkey Knife Fight?
Has there ever been an easier two-teamer than this Houston game tonight? Maybe never in the history of Monkey Knife Fight. Like James Harden over 28.5. So he's constantly going over that number as is right now for Brooklyn. Now we throw in returning to Houston. I got to think that there's maybe a little extra something in him tonight. So over 28.5 points is good. And you pair that with John Wall, who's over 25.5. John Wall, like I said, last game out, 40 minutes. Now he gets to face James Harden and Kyrie defense. He's got a vengeful nature for James Harden. I just got it. And we got guys out now. I mean, that 25.5 is looking very, very luscious. So give me Harden over, John Wall over.
All right, Derek, let's go to your Monkey Knife Fight. Give him a winner tonight.
Yeah, Chop with the mortal lock of Monkey Knife Fights.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Mortal
I'm going to go one guy I like at center, which we'll get to, Karl Anthony Towns. You can definitely beat Charlotte inside. He's been playing more minutes recently. No Malik Beasley, no D'Angelo Russell. So I like him for over 50.5 fantasy points. Then I like Stephen Curry over 47.5. I think he and Lillard are just going to be going at it all night. That game should stay close throughout.
All right. I'm pretty much on the same ones Chop's on. Again, I arrived a little later to Monkey Knife Fight than he did. So I'm going to go over 29.5 on James Harden. If he's going to hit 100 fantasy points, he's got to give me that 29.5 points. I'm going to go over John Wall, 6.5 assists here. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. Going to have to be very productive. And like I said, if he's going to play 40 minutes, I don't see how he doesn't hit that number. And I'm going to throw in a third one here. DeAndre Jordan, over 10.5 rebounds. I think he's going to play some more minutes. Jeff Green is out tonight. I think that's a little bit sneaky. We know Houston, a little bit undersized down low. So DeAndre Jordan, about as dusty as it gets, but I do think he can get in there and pull down some rebounds. So, and overs are fun. We talk about all the time. We don't want to take unders here on this show. So I'm going over there in that Houston-Brooklyn game. Again, monkeyknifefight.com, promo code Grinders. All right, let's clean up some questions, guys, before we move on. Remember, we still want your favorite bets. We have one mortal lock so far on our sheet. But we want to get some more picks from you guys. So make sure you're throwing in your favorite bet, spreads, totals. If you want to be bold and go money line, you can do that. Chop will be keeping an eye out for that. So we had a question from the Nancy Drew guy. Who do you like in a single entry on DraftKings, FanDuel if you had to pick two from each site? So maybe give one each on each site. Derek, let's give you DraftKings. Chop will give you FanDuel. Single entry. Who are you going with? Derek.
All right. I'm going to go. I'm assuming this is tournaments, right? The single entry tournaments.
Yep,
I'm going
we'll
to
say
go
tournaments.
I'm going to go Montrezl Harrell. Burned a lot of bridges last night. And I think a lot of people are going to be scared to play him because, he hasn't been playing very many minutes. But I think that ticks up tonight. No Marc Gasol, no LeBron. Great matchup against the Kings. 5,500.
Yeah, I like that. The minutes are definitely going to scare people away, and the Kings very vulnerable down low. So I like that call a lot. Chop, single entry on FanDuel. Who's standing out for you?
Single entry. Oh man. All right, let me comb through here. You know what? I'm gonna go Chris Boucher.
Yes.
Oh, I
I
like
think
it.
Chris
I
Boucher, because I
like
think
it.
you get that tournament upside. I think the floor is a lot safer tonight, and the position isn't great. So Chris Boucher.
I like it. It'd be easy for me to say James Harden. I'm going to say Anthony Edwards. I think he's in for a big game here tonight against Charlotte. So I really like him. I don't think a lot of people are going to go there. Nice mid-range price. So we'll go Edwards, and we'll put him on both sites, covering FanDuel and DraftKings. Andy wants to know, Bledsoe, back to his old ways. Any thoughts there, Chop?
Oof, man, I can't do it. I mean, I'm looking at the game logs. They look great over the last few games, but it's just not the night for me to take a shot on Bledsoe now.
Derek, any interest in Mr. Bledsoe here on this big slate?
No.
Nope. Quick to the point. I like it. We're out on
All
Eric
right.
Bledsoe tonight. Let me go one further. Tyler Brown wants to know about Ty Jerome. Derek, do we want to go that deep down the rabbit hole? Chop gave it a hell no.
There's just so many plays tonight. I just don't see the need to.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think it's necessary here tonight. So let's move on. Power forward up next. Chop, let's start with you. What are we doing at the power forward spot?
So I already gave my thing for Chris Boucher. I think he's a fine play tonight with some guys out. I think it's going to be a really good game for him. I guess the last word was Kuzma was good to go. So I think Kyle Kuzma could be a nice play tonight, assuming he's going to start later on. Good matchup. And there's just so much firepower missing there for LA tonight that somebody's going to step up. And I think Kuzma has a chance to do that. Porzingis is going to take up the slack for Luka. I got to imagine now. I'm a little bit worried about him. He is a little fragile and everything. So, yeah, but I just I think he's going to be the leading scorer tonight for this team. So, still has a good price tag like Porzingis. I would have with the value that's out there and the way the slate was shaping up, I would have gone all in on Sabonis at this position. But now he's got that big question mark. I'm really leery of I'm waiting for the news on him. I haven't even seen the latest thing. Maybe he's good to go, but questionable tag, middle of the day, scares me off. So if I can't go that, I'll just save the few hundred extra and go Zion. Zion's playing great matchup. I mean, he's a tank down there. This is kind of what we're waiting to see out of him, and now he's quietly doing it because nobody's really recognizing just how good he's been lately. So Zion is a good pivot off of Sabonis if Sabonis gets ruled out.
Oh, he made the All-Star team. People are recognizing. I agree, though. I mean, he's playing incredible right now. It's always a question with that style work in the NBA, but he's so damn strong, athletic, explosive. I mean, there's no stopping Zion Williamson. A very high total game there. I just don't see who on Chicago is going to be able to slow him down. So I like that call. And, Sabonis, it's one of those people think he's questionable all day. Maybe you get him at 3-4% if we get late news with such a big slate. So Kuzma's kind of in that same vein. People adjusting late to the news. Looks like Markieff Morris going to pick up a lot of ownership here. And Derek, Sekou, can I go back to the well and Sekou, yes or no? Tell me no, because I don't want to.
No, you definitely can. They're a lot more shorthanded than they were, last week when we talked them up a little bit. So you can definitely go back there. I like the Markieff Morris call. He's going to be pretty chalky. He's been playing well. His best matchup in a couple weeks. And obviously they're shorthanded. I love that Chop brought up Zion. We have him projected for less than 5% on both sides. He scored at least 23 actual points in 10 straight games. He's coming off of 49, 55, 50, and 47 fantasy points his last four. You mentioned nobody on the Bulls is going to be able to match up with him. He should line up against Patrick Williams to start. So I absolutely love the spot for Zion. My bust of the night is going to be Porzingis. Shout out to Andy Means. He tweeted about it. His true shooting with Luka off the floor is at 44%, which is just terrible. His fantasy point per minute production actually dips 0.11 per minute. So, I mean, if everyone's going to play him, I get it. He should have increased usage, and we've seen that with Luka off the floor, but he hasn't been able to do anything with it this season. So I will be fading Porzingis. I like the Boucher call. I don't think there's been one slate all season where we've actually projected him for 30-plus minutes. So I'll take my chances with him any chance I can get. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on power forward. But if Porzingis ends up failing, that'll be good for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat. I'm a little worried about him. I think you can save some money. I love Boucher. That's always a worry as well. Is he going to get enough minutes like you mentioned? But feel pretty good about it with them being down so many guys. So no doubt. Apparently I went a little robotic on you guys there. So apologies for that, but hopefully we got everything back in line. So let's knock out some more questions. Then we'll wrap up the center position. We'll take a look at our favorite bets. So chat, keep those bets coming. And then we'll finish up. We'll talk some questions and just kind of shoot the shit for a little bit. So some questions. How much value chalk is too much chalk on one lineup in DraftKings from the Super Monkey, Derek?
I would say it depends on, how many guys you're going up against. If you're playing, against 50,000 other lineups, then you probably don't want to have too much chalk in there unless you want to, take a real contrarian stance on some of the studs. But if you're playing in like the single entry, 100 man, 200 man, 300 man, you can definitely eat a lot of chalk there.
All right, we're going to go to center here, Chop, and we'll take this question from Daniel Perez in the chat. Cantor or Harrell? I know we had some Harrell talk here from Derek. Thoughts on those two?
Wow. Let me see here. Let me pull up that. I mean, I do like Harold tonight as a little rebound from last night. And Cantor's putting up some good numbers too. They're a similar price tag, man. Man, that's a tough one. But I guess for safety, if you're asking me like a cash game single entry, give me Cantor. But for real upside, Harold.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Cantor, obviously the better floor, but Harrell, big ceiling here with those two guys out for the Lakers. So our boy Alex Santi, shout out to Alex in the chat, said he's playing 3 lineups on FanDuel. They all have Zion and Ingram. Should he have a Levine lineup in there? And I say yes. You always want to run it back on lineups like that. But he said he can also get to Harden, but he would have to punt center. So Chop, thoughts on that real quick.
FanDuel, Levine, if you're playing, yeah, I mean, you don't have to have him on all 3 of those. But yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have like one or two of them with a Levine run back, and then the other 1 or 2 with Harden in there. You got the money to do it. He's got big upside. Let me pull up this match. Yeah, it's a good matchup for him. So I don't mind that. It just makes for a good run back. I like it.
Derek, agree on that?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you can play anyone else on the Bulls on FanDuel, really. Kobe White's been playing well, but point guard is so stacked. So I think Levine's probably your best run back. And if you're spending that much salary on the Pelicans, it does make sense to run it back.
And if anything, gets you off of some of the Harden ownership. So you get your run it back, and your lineup's a little bit different than a lot of people out there. Plus, you're investing a lot of money. You got Zion, you got Ingram, you got Harden. You're going to be punting in a lot of spots there. Next man up asks Lowry and Powell, so a couple Raptors, or Edwards and Wall. Derek.
I think the Raptors are safer, but the other two might have a little more upside. I think I'll go with the Raptors, but it's close.
I'm going to go the other way. It is close, no doubt. But I like Edwards a lot tonight, and we've talked about John Wall, so I'll go that way. Chop, any thoughts there? Lowry and Powell or Edwards and Wall from next man up?
Yeah, Lowry and Powell with a little bit safer floor gets the nod for me.
K-Mac, you got to come better than Bielitsa or Claxton in GPP.
What are we doing here, guys?
We got to do better than that now. Come on, give us a little bit something, a little more substance there. Favorite 3 Pelicans on FanDuel. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. Juicelino B. Chop, favorite 3 Pelicans. Obviously Zion, Ingram. Who's the third New Orleans guy for you?
I mean, if you twist my arm, maybe Steven Adams or something, but I have no interest in a third Pelican. I do like those 2 guys, but I don't have any interest in a third Pelican, to be honest.
Yeah, it feels a little forced after those 2. I mean, Bledsoe, we've talked about. Adams, not really intriguing to me. Lonzo, the same. So just the 2. Derek, any interest in a third Pelican?
No interest in a third Pelican. And Moochie Mob Ties, apologies if I said that wrong, says he likes Melo. Did you guys see he did or every single one of his shots the other night, all 10 of them, didn't hit the rim, nothing but net.
Really? I did not see that. Old school
man.
Melo. Yes, he is, definitely. Is Harden necessary on FanDuel today, Derek?
Yes.
Chop?
I would say no. Well, I'll preface it like this. He's a great play, and he's probably there's a great chance that he crushes you if you fade him. But the argument against him for me would be Houston has been getting blown out by like 30 points a night because they're just not that good. They're trying to tank. They're just not that good, and they're shorthanded. So the argument against Harden would be, well, what if this is one of those 25-point games going into the fourth quarter? Maybe we don't see as many minutes out of Harden tonight. So it's a possibility. It's not like he's a lock to crush tonight. There's a possibility it doesn't work out. So he's not, you don't have to lock him in. But I do agree he's a really good player.
Yeah, I mean, anybody cannot be necessary at some point. Do I think he's in the winning lineup? Probably, but there's always those scenarios where he's not. And you mentioned a few of them. He could get hurt. It could be a blowout. There's a lot of different ways that you don't have to have Harden. So not absolutely necessary, but definitely a guy I'm going to be going to a ton. All right, one more question here. Then we'll go to center. We'll do our betting picks. We'll come back to the questions leading you guys into crunch time later on tonight. So Jason Martinez wants to know, how many Lakers is too many in a GPP, Chop?
How many Lakers is too many? I mean, I don't. If I knew what the box score was already, I could tell you that for sure. But just
we'd all be rich then.
Just guessing, right?
Almanac.
Just guessing right now. I think that you need to have at least one of them. But after one, like there's nothing. I think Dennis Schroeder is the lock at the point guard position for me. And I might be wrong about that. But after him, maybe Kuzma doesn't get it going tonight. Maybe Kuzma plays and Morris doesn't get going because of that. Maybe Harrell has another game like last night. Like there's nobody else that feels necessary to me. So how many's too many? I mean, you don't want to go over 4. I would imagine you don't want to go over 3 because it's the Lakers. And they're just not that good after the first couple. But that's where I'm at with it.
All right, Derek, any quick thoughts on that before we get to center?
Yeah, for me, stacking the team is more about how much of your salary you're allocating to that one team more than anything else. Like if you're playing 3 or 4 expensive guys from one team, it's going to be tough to do. But all the Lakers are cheap. They're all going to see massive usage boosts. It's a great matchup. I think 4 is just fine, especially if Kuzma ends up being out, still questionable, was downgraded last night. They could easily just hold him out through the All-Star break. So you got Harrell, you got Horton Tucker, you got Markieff, you got Schroeder. I think you can play 4 pretty easily.
All right, Derek, let's stay with you. Let's finish this up. We'll look at some centers, and we'll take a look at our favorite bets. Who are you going with at the center position tonight?
All right, we talked about Harrell a little bit. I think Enes Kanter makes some sense on FanDuel. Talked about his high floor. I think Rudy Gobert is interesting on DraftKings. Nobody's going to be playing him. Really good track record against Embiid, and we want to watch that game. So if you really need somebody from that game, he would be my favorite go-to guy there. I really like Karl-Anthony Towns, though. At home, great spot against Charlotte. No Beasley, no D'Angelo Russell. His per-minute production's gone up over the last 5 games. So he's going to be the guy that I'm spending up on. And I do like your John J. Jordan call beer. With Jeff Green out, he's going to play 30-plus minutes. Pretty good matchup for him. Houston's really struggled against centers since losing Christian Wood.
And look, I don't need DeAndre Jordan. It's hard to play. I think he gets those rebounds. I agree. Should be playing some minutes. It was hard to even put him in my monkey night play promo, but so we got to give DeAndre Jordan some love here tonight. The matchup's not bad. If he is going to get those 30 minutes, no doubt. Chop, let's get to you. Center position. What are we doing there?
All right. Do you want to give a quick reminder? Fire off. I got you, Jan Deasy. You're Don Yeezy. You're in the book now, so I got that. But you fire off your bets, guys, so we can get those culminated here before too long. But I mean, you pretty much named them all. Karl-Anthony Towns would be the guy I like to spend on if I'm spending up. I could definitely see a good battle between Embiid and Gobert tonight. I think Embiid's one of those kind of guys that might get up for this matchup quite a bit. So I like the Embiid. Jared Allen, he's a guy I haven't heard too much about. Miles Turner's not playing very good defense tonight, so don't mind Jared Allen. The cheap guys, Jordan, you mentioned, Harrell, Cantor, those are the guys you can go with. And one guy I'm on the fence about, but I think has possibilities tonight is Mason Plumlee. He's put up some good games this year. We've got a lot of Evan Fournier ruled out now. That's interesting.
Okay.
All right.
Orlando so gets even thinner now.
Now we'll go back and look at that in a minute, but that helps Vucevic quite a bit at 9,900 on FanDuel with a good matchup with Gordon out and Fournier out. Vucevic is going to be back to being that guy who does everything. So now you got a real real decision to make up top there. So, man, yeah, I guess this is the spot where you spend some money and you run one of those big guys out. Towns or Vucevic would be my preferred play now.
Well, I got to ask you about Justin Patton, Chop. You're our Houston guy, so we got him projected for 33 minutes here tonight. Any love there? We have Isaiah Stewart, another value guy. We have Claxton, who's cheap.
This is absurd.
It's getting crazy.
It is, man.
Feels like late season NBA.
Before we came on the show, we actually had Patton at 0 minutes. I didn't know if he was going to play tonight. So if you're telling me that he's going to play, yeah. This is a good matchup for him. He's so cheap, but now you have to make like at a certain point, you don't need to leave $5,000 on the table tonight, So who is going to be your value plays? If you want to go value at center with Justin Patton, that's fine. Spend up and spend your money elsewhere. Make sure you're doing that. But if you're looking elsewhere for value, man, don't leave a ton of money. You don't have to leave a ton of money on the table tonight. So you don't need to force in Justin Patton just because the point per dollar looks good.
So thoughts real quick, Noto, on those value guys, Patton, Stewart, Claxton, kind of rank those guys. Who's even in the player pool for you there?
I don't think I'll go with Stewart or Claxton unless they end up getting the start for some random reason. But yeah, I mean, a lot of interesting plays. I do think Justin Patton is interesting. You mentioned 33-minute projection. If you just do the point per dollar sort on FanDuel, he's the number one guy on the entire slate for us in our projections right now. So I still think I want to spend up at center because, it's easier for guards to kind of, hit their floor, hit their ceiling, but he's going to be out there a bunch. So it's hard not to like him.
Yeah. Go for Darwin. Wanted to know anyone 6.9K or less on FanDuel at center. Is it Patton for you guys?
If you're stuck at 6.9, I would go, let's see.
On FanDuel?
Yep.
Cantor.
Yeah, there's Cantor, there's Harrell. Let me see here. Plumlee's in the mix. I mean, I know Beer don't like him, but I'd almost rather have DeAndre than Patton. Like DeAndre is going to get the minute. Houston's been really bad on defense against centers with Wood and Cousins gone. So Jordan's going to get a ton of rebounds tonight.
I mean, I like him enough to put him in my Monkey Knife Fight promo. It's just always a hard button to click. Is you're going to war with Karl Anthony Towns and some of these other guys. I'm going to war with DeAndre Jordan. It's always a tough pill to swallow, but I do like the spot for him for sure. So that will wrap up the analysis. We will now look at some of our favorite bets, and we'll take a quick look back at last week. And like I said, everybody did well. The chat ended up 2-1 last week, brings their record up to 11-13. Noto swept the board last week. 3-0 brings him right on Chop's heels at 13-11. Chop also killed it last week, going 2-1. He's up to 14-10, and a humble brag. A nice 3-0 for your boy, up to 17-7 on the season. So Noto, you're sitting in third here. We'll allow you to lead off with your bets. Give the people some winners here tonight.
Yeah, Beer, 17-7. That is very impressive. So good work there. Keep it up.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No pressure. No pressure. Okay, so I made these picks a couple hours before the show started. I would rather have Toronto at this point, but I'm going to go Sacramento -4 at home against the Lakers. I think they take care of business. Their point differential is much better than their record. We know, obviously, Lakers shorthanded. Like the Pelicans, they picked up a big win against the Jazz. I think they carry some of that momentum. Into the All-Star break, they pick up a win, -5.5. And then Charlotte on the road against Minnesota. I had it at -2. It's a -3 some places. I'm fine taking that as well. Gordon Hayward's going to be back, and I just think they're the better team right now.
All right, Chop busted out the dad voice. He needs your bets, and he needs them now. So get them in. There's a few coming in here, Chop, to choose from. But while we wait on the chat to get their favorite bets in, I'll give the people some winners tonight. Who you rolling with?
Okay, I am also on Sacramento, -4. I like that one just like him. I'm going over on the Houston-Brooklyn game, 229. We've talked about it a lot. I think it's going to be high scoring. Just hope the blowout doesn't hurt us right there. But I'm going over 229 Houston-Brooklyn. And my last but not least, I think the Utah-Philly is going to have the playoff feel. And I've been taking the unders on these kind of games that have a playoff feel to it. So I'm going under 228 on Philly and Utah tonight.
All right, which leads me right into my plays for the night. Philadelphia has been so good at home, and I know Utah have been a covering machine, no doubt, but they've had a few slip-ups here on the road. Philly 15-3 at home, has won 5 of their last 7 games, so I will gladly take the 3.5 points. That's where I locked it in earlier. I think it's down to 3 in a lot of spots with that Tobias Harris news. I don't even hate the money line there with Philadelphia. Also going to roll with I know it. I know it's your team, but Philly tough at home. So Utah's going to take that L here tonight, Derek. I'm also going to roll with Charlotte. I love this spot against Minnesota. Timberwolves are just that bad. Charlotte actually playing some pretty good ball, been competitive in a lot of games against much better teams than Minnesota. So I'll go Charlotte -2. And I like New Orleans playing well, going on the road, playing well. Chicago, just a team I do not believe in here. So I did look at the over in that game. I do think there'll be points scored, but I think New Orleans pulls away here, wins this one by double digits. So I'll go New Orleans -6. Chop, do we have a consensus for the chat here on their favorite bets of the night?
We do.
All right,
Devin, you got your pen and paper ready? I'm going to give them to you. I'm going to give you what the chat got.
Devin's the man. He's always ready.
He's ready for it. All right, we have a couple of guys who wanted the over 233 on Golden State Portland. Over 233 Golden State Portland. We've got to put in, when the man says it's a mortal lock.
Oh yeah,
he's got to have that one. The over 237 on Chicago, New Orleans. Over 237 Chicago, New Orleans. And then the last one, I'm going to give it to Don Yeezy, Brooklyn. He said -10, but it's 9.5. I'm seeing Brooklyn -9.5. So I'm going to give him Brooklyn -9.5 for the chat.
All right, there we go. Consensus picks. We'll check in. Maybe not next week. I think we're returning from the All-Star break. So maybe in 2 weeks, we'll see how we're doing. See if the chat can catch up, gain some ground on us. But love doing these bets with you guys. And Noto, I agree. I saw you in the chat. Fastest 50 minutes of the week. I always look down and be like, we almost need another hour to talk with the people, but we do have crunch time coming up here in a few minutes. So guys, final thoughts, and then I'll kind of comb through some questions, do some rapid fire. So Chop, let's go to you. Final thoughts here before we hit the All-Star break.
Guys, you don't have to overthink it tonight. There's a lot of questions that I find them a little bit concerning. You play your best value plays, and then you almost max out your salary because there's still a lot of stars on this slate who are going to drop monster games. This is not like a typical last day of the season where you can leave 5,000 or 6,000 on the table. Still be prudent with your salary. You still want to spend it because there's lots of great superstars out there.
Hammer, Don Yeezy, I see you guys. We appreciate the love. You guys are here each and every week hanging out with us, so thank you. We appreciate it. Noto, final thoughts for you, and we'll try to rapid fire some questions here. What do you got?
I think Chop made some great points. You don't have to get too cute tonight. You don't need to play these guys that are going to play 15 minutes. There are so many good value plays that you can get at lower ownership. If you just fade like the top value guy at each position, you're going to get lower ownership, similar projections, and spend up on some studs. This is not the night to go balanced. There are guys at 3K that have the same projection that guys at 5 and 6K. So spend all your salary, load up on studs. And Beer, I hope you go 2-1. Me and you agree on Charlotte and New Orleans. So go 2-1 tonight.
I kind of played the block there, the old tic-tac-toe move, keeping you off my heels. But I agree with you guys. There's a lot of ways that you can Rotogrinders premium. If you don't have it, you're not seeing ownership projections changing in real time. You guys are really missing out. So we don't really have a ton of time for questions. Noto, give the people some quick golf info. PGA is going to take over the waves this weekend. Give it 30-second. PGA, a winner, the best play. What do you got?
I'll do 5 seconds. Rory and Ricky. Let's go.
There you go. Chop, any golf for you?
No, but you guys tune in on Saturday. There's a hell of an MMA card with 3 championship fights. It's going to be fun.
There you go. Golf, MMA, Top Shot streets are still going strong, and the All-Star weekend, it should be fun. It's kind of condensed into one night, but really looking forward to it. Guys, make sure you stay tuned. Crunch time will take you right up until lock, answering all your questions, adjusting to any injuries. I want to say thank you to you guys for watching, hanging out. Thank you to Devin behind the glass for keeping us on our toes. For Notorious, for Head Shopper, I am Beer saying salut. Guys, best of luck tonight. Enjoy the time off, and we'll see you when we get back. Peace.